Well, happy Friday, everybody. I'm Nick Slavic. I'm the proprietor of the Nick Slavic Painting and Restoration Company. I'm also the host of this show, Ask a Painter Live. It's a weekly live Facebook show where I use my over 2 decades of experience as a craftsman and an entrepreneur to answer any of your questions. So, for homeowners and DIYers, this is the largest collection of the most knowledgeable craftspeople in the world. And if you ever have a question, even as simple as what brush, what primer, what coating, whatever else, if I don't have the answer, all these people do. And together, this is a great collective of knowledge. So also for pros, we can talk about anything you guys want. Coding science, apprenticeship, marketing, entrepreneurship, any of that good stuff. Okay, so we're kind of jumping between Wi-Fi and cell service up here. Like I said, we're going to be joined by Chris Shank, the education guy. We are in the wilderness of northern Minnesota. This is a home that we call the hashtag Cottage Cabin project. I'm going to see if I can bring Chris Shank up here. This is a home that we finished up here. It's wildernessy enough where we can do that. And this was a showcase home for Sherwin-Williams, and it was also one of the first homes in the country to be completely finished with emerald trim urethane. So, Chris Shank, how's it going, man?
Okay. Good. Bam. It's still not, it's still backward. Hey, man, people can read backwards, hopefully.
Here, I don't think I
But
can.
I got these.
Hold on, give me 1 second. I might be able to mirror. Oh, I can only mirror myself. Sorry, Chris Shank. Not gonna happen this time.
No matter what,
I,
yeah, that's all right. Murphy's Law. Okay, cool.
there's a wrench and a screwdriver crossed at the bottom of the screen. I don't know if you have that tool or not. I think only the creator of the video has. If you hit that, you can mirror.
I think so.
I
don't even care anymore, man.
You know what? Six times from now, we'll get this right.
That's right.
Okay, so
we're good.
I will give people the quick rundown, and then we'll talk about what we came here to talk about. Dustin, Nick May,
Yep.
Nick Brassfield, everybody, thanks for watching. We are here in the wilderness of northern Minnesota. We are at the hashtag Cottage Cabin project. It's a showcase home that I finished a bunch of years ago for a client. One of the first homes in the United States to use emerald trim urethane. So I'm going to give a full update on that. But we are here to talk about summer marketing, Chris Shank.
Yes, the PDCA question of the week we have for you, Nick. Okay, so what does your marketing process look like in the summer? I know we did a podcast recently, the Nick, and Nick
Yep.
podcast. It's pretty cool. And you guys are really big personalities. You guys are all smart people. And you kind of you all run good business, but different kinds of business. And you gave some really good feedback about the kind of marketing. And so we put this question in there because you gave a really good answer, and we had some good discussion. So does your marketing process change during the summer? If so, how? Do you not focus on marketing as much because you're busy with other things? Because I know people get overwhelmed, and then they just want to just work and focus on production. But how do you stay ahead of marketing so that way you're not just starting cold again in the fall? So there's the question.
Yeah, so basically, if you think about what a house painter, a residential repainter, has to focus on marketing wise in the upper Midwest, which means we basically have 6 months of winter and 6 months of summer, which means 6 months of inside, 6 months of outside. Every painter in Minnesota has a full schedule in summer. You do not need to market basically, unless you're the size of maybe like a Jason Paris, where he does 500-600 houses in the span of a summer. They have a very hungry machine. They have to make a lot of leads. If you're a single painter or you have 10 to 20 painters, people will find you in the summer because we have such a short window. Everything needs to be done at a certain time. They will get to you. Now, the interesting thing is, I actually have broken down my marketing year into about a 4 to 5 month window. I really only need to market for 4 to 5 months. December, January, February, March, right about then I really don't need any jobs beyond that. Now, the demand stays constant through that. People call for estimates. They ask to be put on their schedule, but just not for the months of December, January, February. So the challenge for an upper Midwest residential repainter is to fill December, January, and February. And that actually starts in August here. So starting in a couple weeks, I'm starting my winter marketing plan of we do SEO, we do AdWords, we do EDDM, every door direct mail, we do flyers, we do door hangers, Facebook posts, and everything else. And so starting in August, the idea is to get it out there, let it sink in a little bit. It'll drive some leads. September and October, we actually start booking jobs. So then hopefully November, December, and January get a full schedule.
Nice. It sounds like you're covering all the bases there. And a lot of people, it's interesting, online marketing for some is absolutely necessary. And some say, man, I still have to update my website because I've got so much business that I don't even have to worry about the website. And then social media comes kind of after that for some people. And for others, it's their bread and butter, like Zach Kenny.
Yep.
Man, he says like almost solely his marketing is done on Instagram, not even like all the platforms, just Instagram. It's so funny, all the different ways. We, a shameless plug, by the way, we're having a workshop end of this month. Chris Moore is going to be talking about leads generation and basically how to envision this map of all the different ways you can generate leads as a painting business. And basically where am I doing really well? Where do I have more opportunities? And how do I build up these areas that I don't know much about? He's not gonna talk as much about online or social media. He'll touch on this briefly, but we're talking about all the organic ways that you source new leads and just make sure you got it all covered. We had a great podcast with Ken Tucker yesterday about marketing on Instagram. And there's so much to know, like about all these different platforms. So it's just a lot. I know it's a lot. And you guys who are just overwhelmed, it's interesting that you're like, you always have to be putting new irons in the fire, right?
Yeah.
And it just never stops. Do you feel overwhelmed by that?
No, what's interesting is that, in typical Nick Slavic fashion, I did lots of experiments over the last 2 winters to see what marketing actually moved the needle, gathered a bunch of data, and now we're zeroing in. I think if I have 2 more winters, dollars will get you X amount of leads, and we're zeroing in. But it does seem like when you're a 1 to 3 person painting company, you really don't need to advertise. I mean, work will come to you. If you've been around for more than a few years, word of mouth and referral will drive that. So when guys say, I don't have to market, I got a full schedule, good for you. If you want to grow bigger, that will not be the case. Between maybe 5 to 10 painters, what I found is that, and this is what I want to happen is Instagram and Facebook and that stuff to be the main lead generator. The problem is I can pull a lever and make leads show up. The leads aren't as serious. They seem to be more like looky-loos. And now I know some people do really good business off that, but when I have 15 to 20 painters to keep busy, there's not enough quality leads generated from social media yet for me to solely rely on it. I still do it, but it's not a constant generator. Now, the sad part about all this is the unsexy stuff still works. Like I have a newspaper ad, Chris Shank. I mean, that's like the most unsexy form of marketing on the face of the planet. And honestly, if you're just looking at it as a marketing vehicle, an avenue to reach people, I would say it's probably my number 2 or number 3 biggest generator of leads in my area. Because I've had that newspaper ad in for 12 years, and twice a week it gets delivered to every single person in my core demo in my immediate area. And it's very inexpensive nowadays too. So super unsexy. And also, if you query the largest painting companies, the Garrett Martells, the Jason Paris's, other many multi-million-dollar companies. Honestly, direct mail, flyers, door hangers. It's not sexy, but it actually works still.
I was going to ask you what's your favorite way. So that the newspaper's interesting, and it's funny. You know what may not be sexy is what you might call old-fashioned styles of advertising or whatever. What is sexy is getting leads, however you get them. So like the thing is, knowing what works is the key. Knowing what works for your company, and there's some companies out there that are struggling, that are trying everything, and they're like, I feel like I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel. There's a lot of competition in this area, or it's a small town, or whatever it is. You're in a small town, you're figuring it out. But there's always, you just got to find kind of what's in your DNA to market yourself and what your reputation is in the community. And You know, I just think you got to figure it out for yourself. You got to figure it out.
And the very interesting thing, and in a week, actually next week, I will be in Philadelphia for the residential forum. And one of the highlights for me is not only going to get to hear Jason Paris talk, but also Jeff Winter from Sherwin-Williams. And he always presents super dense, interesting perspective, market research, high level market research. The last time I heard him speak, I think it was at a residential forum a year or two ago. He actually, Sherwin-Williams does multi-million dollars worth of marketing research, and he was kind enough to present and share some of that with us. And what's interesting is that there's guys like Nick May who do a really good job on social media. There's other guys who have a 1 or 2 person painting company that are very good on social media. What the market research that Jeff Winter provided was still trades as a whole, 70% of all leads comes from word of mouth and referrals. So really, things that we can't really pull a lever. We can do work, we can do good work for a long time, we can make happy clients. These are the best kind of leads. So we think that we are good. Like, oh, I'm getting leads off Facebook, I'm doing really good. Okay, only run your business off Facebook leads. You'd be like, oh, no, forget word of mouth and referrals. We'll take those too, you know? So we think we're geniuses, these marketing geniuses, but if you take away our word of mouth and referrals, the things that we really can't control, but it's the long game, we would be out cold. So remember that there's almost nobody who runs their entire business besides Zach Kenny off Instagram or Facebook. You know, and I give him credit. Again, he's just like Chris Berry, the Idaho painter. He was early, he was often, he's consistent. He did that. When you put in the work for these things, like I know a painting contractor who said, you know what, Angie's List. I'm going to be the Angie's List guy. He did it early, he did it often, he sinks tons of money into it, and magically you get results from it. The only problem is that all the eggs in the one basket thing. You always have to be careful.
Right. And I think people ought to know that you're not just bashing something that you're not invested in. I mean, you are heavily, I mean, obviously you're doing Ask a Painter. You are very much a big presence now on social media. I know you get business from social media. So I think you're speaking from experience when you're talking about how you prioritize where you get your leads. Also, I want to mention I really learned about you as a painting contractor through your I think Facebook at the time, then Instagram, and just your presence out there, the kind of pictures. That's why I invited you into PDCA education, because I said, this guy knows how to do this like nobody else. He's becoming a resource for, you know, homeowners, but business owners as well. And so that's why you're here. So yeah, you're speaking from experience when you say, hey, look, I like that. I like marketing on social media, but you got to really capitalize on all the different ways to do it and make sure you know where your bread and butter comes from. One more thing, one more, and this is all because you have brought it up. But you talk about word of mouth and, you know, those referrals, but that's brought on from exceptional work. And so that really puts all the pressure back on you to do great work and not just talk about how great you are. That's what marketing is, convincing people you're great, but people are watching your work.
So very interesting. When I was going through college, my college education is very much a Stone Age business administration education. They were basically grooming us when I got my bachelor's degree to be mid-level corporate managers in Fortune 500 companies. And there was a lot of old sort of mantras and sayings. And one of the marketing ones, which was true then and is not true now, is that 90% of your marketing is wasted. You just don't know which 90%. And that's something that I carried with, you know, my whole early career. Now that's really not the case. It's not perfect, but now I would say probably 30% of your marketing is wasted, and you just don't know which 30%. You can start tracking more often and clearer, especially with social media and the insane web analytics that comes from your websites and things. But honestly, it's tough. And to address the social media thing, this is unsatisfying. Everybody thinks that I'm running a business completely off social media. It's hard to believe, but almost nobody I work for knows that I'm on Facebook or Instagram. You would think that I have this great following. Look at my following. It's all other painting contractors. It's not clients.
Wow, that's interesting.
So, yeah,
that's interesting.
So people think People think I have this super easy row to hoe here. There's other guys who do much well. You look like Connor O'Keefe. O'Keefe's painting. He's doing 100 times better than I am, probably generating leads from social media in the area, because his content probably is more focused towards them. My group is a self-selecting group of people who will never be my clients.
Interesting. No, that's good and honest. Thanks for sharing that with us, Nick.
Yeah. And hey, listen, thank you guys for the support. You guys were big supporters of this project, the Cottage Cabin project. This was a series, it's a showcase home I did for Sherwin-Williams. It was profiled in magazines. You guys shared a bunch of the content too, and people actually watched along from construction all the way till it was done, using all premium products, some brand new to the market. And it was basically a showcase home of saying, this looks like a historic home. It was built brand new from the ground up, energy efficient. It looks like a 19-teens home. It uses all the most technically advanced, highest level, readily available products. And this is sort of the epitome of what I like to do. It looks old. Everything's brand new, science, technology, history, everything. And you guys were a great supporter of it. So Chris Shank, thank you. And thanks to the PDCA.
Thanks, Nick. I'm looking
Have a
forward
good
to seeing
weekend,
the rest
man.
of the show, man. All right.
I'm going to race through this so I can go fishing. See ya.
Okay.
Okay. Lacey Joe Reed, how do you market your business if not on social media? So I do that. I think it's going to be a bigger portion in the future. The problem is I can generate leads from social media. The leads I generate are not as serious as leads where they're from my website, they're from newspaper, they're from word of mouth or referral. So, you know, what I mean by that not as serious is that if I get 10 leads from my newspaper or my website, 8 of them are probably very serious people that want something done immediately. If I get 10 leads from Facebook or Instagram, probably 2 of them are serious. And I've profiled these people who contact me through my quote request on Facebook and Instagram. They seem to be people on a Friday night. They have an iPad. They're sitting there and saying, I wonder how much it costs to paint my kitchen cabinets. And they aren't really thinking about getting it done, or if they are, it's years down the road. They're more like, I wonder what this would cost. I wonder what this would take. And it's not bad. It's just that a lot of those don't translate into actual jobs. So again, as a business owner, if you're going to put money and time into something, put it into what drives it. So, okay, so let's go through thanks everybody. I'm going to show you guys this project because I love this project. So this is a brand new constructed home about 3 years ago. I called this the hashtag Cottage Cabin project. So if you actually type in the hashtag Cottage Cabin, and you know what I'm going to do, guys? I'm going to get on my shoes so I can walk around here. I don't want to track any sand into my client's house here. So give me 1 second while I pop out here. Hey, are my sandals out here? No. Okay. All right, so I'm going to slip these guys on, and I am going to show you guys this project. So very interesting project. So client built this cabin for his wife. It's styled after a 19-teens like northern Minnesota lake cottage here. A lot of the work he did himself, and I thought this was such a cool project. And this the client husband and wife team are artists and sort of Renaissance people. They're creators. They're aesthetically minded people. So I thought, you know what? I contacted Sherwin-Williams and I said, let's do a showcase house. Let's take all the cool stuff, all the premium stuff, and let's go inside, let's go outside, start to finish, all premium products. So what's interesting here is that this is going to be a common theme, but all this siding is solid oak shakes. Now, I have never seen a house sided with solid oak, but the client cut down the oak trees, split the shakes, and then put it all himself like this. And I treated it with Super Deck premium log oil. We did 2 coats of the natural color like that, and it's just beautiful. It brings out the depth of the oak. It's just amazing stuff. And 3 years later, it's holding up insanely well. I think probably in the next year or 2, I'll come out here and couple it with a fishing trip and see if we can't recoat it just to keep it going here. So very interesting too. Copper roof made by the client there. premium, true divided light double hung windows, the Andersons here. Beadboard. This beadboard, I'm going to show you this thing here. This is really cool. So, common theme again, pine trees that were cut down. The homeowner milled them into beadboard, the nice thick stuff, and then I pre-primed them, he hung them, and then we used an exterior low luster enamel. I believe it was Sherwin-Williams emerald exterior. I think at the time it was a satin, but yeah, just beautiful. It's got that nice glow to it. But I'm going to show you guys these shakes here. Like, this is insane. Like, normally shakes like this, for wood connoisseurs, you look at a shake like this. This is actually called quarter sawn white oak. You can see the kind of tiger stripes through it here. This stuff is furniture grade oak, and he made the outside of his house with it here. This is insanely, sometimes this can be 10 bucks a board foot. Like, you can see the tiger stripes on this piece here. This is insanely good wood. And it's going to last a long time. It's super stable. It's been years later, and these things aren't cupping, they're not bowing, they're not anything else. Like, this is truly, you know, 100 or 200 year old 100 to 200 year siding, something like that. So beautiful, beautiful stuff. I'm going to take you guys inside here and show you. So outside was pretty straightforward. Super premium log oil. On the inside, all drywall here. What we did was one of my favorite, most luxurious bomb-proof coating systems, which is Sherwin-Williams PVA primer, sprayed on all after we completely surgical suited the house. So all the dust is gone. We spray PVA primer, we sand down the PVA primer, and the walls feel like marble after that, just honed marble. They're beautiful. And after that, we filled any imperfections and applied 2 coats of emerald trim urethane. I'll take you up to the loft up here. Excuse me, for the walls, excuse me, not emerald trim urethane. We did 2 coats of cashmere, low luster, which is beautiful. So you can see, I love that. This stuff is super tough. It's got such a sophisticated looking finish on it. It's not just a crappy kind of eggshelly kind of paint. It's got this luxurious sort of low lustry, mattish kind of look like that. Awesome. And it stands up really, really well to wear and tear. So loft up here. And just like before, client cut down some oak trees, fashioned some railings. He actually hand hammered iron here, so hand forged iron spindles there. Let's see, beautiful, beautiful. I'll show you this. Beautiful Anderson windows, true divided light. These ones are fixed up here too. Solid oak floors. Client milled the floors himself. We used another Sherwin-Williams product. Actually, this is a product that I don't really see hardly anybody else use. It's called Fabulon. It's a polyurethane floor finish. Insanely hard, insanely beautiful, and it's a bomb-proof coating. I don't see many people use it, but I get it through my Sherwin. I'll show you kind of the trim detail here. Now, really cool thing about this project is one of the first in the entire country that was done with emerald trim urethane. It was brand new. It was sort of experimental at the time. When I contacted Sherwin, I said, what do you got that's the best? Like, we all know Pro Classic and that stuff. And they said, well, as a matter of fact, you've been hearing about this emerald trim urethane. We got that. So I used it in the satin. I love that. Beautiful, beautiful, kind of luxurious, sophisticated shine. Again, client cut down trees, milled all the woodwork, and had and installed it himself. And it's beautiful. I mean, it's just beautiful. He's got an attention to detail. When you look at like true divided light windows like this, these were all finished with the emerald trim urethane satin. We did this on site. I actually brought up, I believe it was 3 of my craftspeople, and we were here for a week. And when it was a construction site, we were living in the middle of winter. Sort of, I had my sleeping bag on the floor of the bathroom in there, and we're basically sleeping on the construction site, going like crazy. And if you guys remember, clients had a little mini fridge down in the basement here, run off some power. We were all sitting around eating hot dogs and hamburgers, and we used their mustard. Turns out the mustard was like 5 years old, and we all survived, but interesting nonetheless. So, oh, let's see. Oh, cabinets as well. Again, client cut down oak trees, milled all that. It's rift sawn and quarter sawn white oak, and he built all these cabinets. They're absolutely beautiful, and we used an oil varnish on all those to treat them. So just amazing, amazing craftsmanship by this guy. It's just a pleasure to work with real materials like this. So also, another fun project was he made this little island peninsula. completely finished with emerald trim urethane. I distressed all the corners, all the outside. Directions from the client was he wants it to look old, but he doesn't want it to look tacky old, like something you'd buy, from a furniture store. So it had to actually look like wear and tear. So I wore off all the corners and the things where boots and things would hit it like that. I used a kind of cream or white colored paint underneath. We used a beautiful mossy green. I stained a few of the edges, and then I Fabuloned it. I actually put a couple coats of Fabulon over the top to protect it, and it's rock hard. Just a beautiful, beautiful finish. So you can see again, we have the beautiful beadboard. This has all got emerald trim urethane on it. The nice, sophisticated kind of shine on there. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that. Just beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Doors and stuff as well. See if I can get a good shine on here for you guys. Oh yeah. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. And one of the cool things about the emerald trim urethane was that we used Easy Sand Oil Primer when we were up here. So one of the cool things about this, and which way I was happy to use it at this time, was we got 4 craftspeople in the wilderness of northern Minnesota, away from our families and friends and everything, and we were able to enamel every bit of trim, woodwork, windows in this entire house twice in a day, because emerald trim urethane had a 4-hour recoat. So we were going like stink. We oil primed everything. We SVT'd it, and in my company, that's sand, vac, and tack. We get it all ready, caulked it all, and then the next day, everything got enameled twice in a day. So we did beadboard ceilings, we did doors, windows, trim, everything, and then the next day we turned around and painted all the walls. So it was an awesome, awesome project. Bring you into the bathroom here. Amazing stuff. So I don't really get to work with a lot of great hardwoods anymore. This client is amazing. Again, cut down some trees, made some cabinets. He is a true sort of producing artist. And to have the opportunity to finish some of this stuff is absolutely amazing. So, all right. So, I think that's about it, guys. Let's see if we got any... Lacey, you really like that cashmere low luster too? That's such a good finish, and I don't see many people use it. Now, I've used it on new construction a few times, and it is tough with trade touch-up, because on some houses, if you have a few touch-ups after trade damage, it's not a big deal. I've been on some that have an insane amount of trade damage, and it probably would have been a repaint anyway, but the higher sheen you go, the tougher it's going to be. So, Tim Milner, Garrett Martell, thanks for watching, man. Phil Klein, thanks, Phil. I'm in vacation mode, so we got the new tropical edition Slavic painting hats. I got my vacation shirt on, and as soon as we're done here, we're going to fill the boat with gas, and we're going to go trolling. We've had a lot of luck here with sunfish, bass, and pike, and take the kids out, and we're going to try to fill our bellies with some fish. So I think that's about it, guys. You guys have a good rest of the weekend here. I'm going to get back to some family time, and I think this is show number 163. I have not missed a show in 163 episodes. It's a weekly show, and for 163 weeks without stoppage, we've had one of these shows. And if you guys want to see the process photos, which are really cool, type in the hashtag Cottage Cabin, either in Instagram or Facebook, and you can actually see the progress of this from a construction site to what it is now. So let's see, Tim Milner, I feel like cashmere boxes a lot, especially the low luster. Is there a trick? The trick, it's an unsatisfying answer. I don't run into a lot of picture framing or boxing, only because, maybe it's the brushes or rollers we use, but I have a feeling it's speed, and a lot of times we work in teams of people. We get a cutter and a roller, so we keep a wet edge. So wet edge is the key to getting rid of picture framing or that. My typical interior setup is a Purdy Elasco 2.5-inch Pro Extra trim brush with a nice long handle, Purdy White Dove 1/2-inch roller cover. We usually throw in, the typical frame, and we go from pans, and we usually have on big jobs like this, which was actually really interesting on the inside. I'll kind of show you in here. What was interesting is that this job has so much ins and outs. What we actually did was I had 3 people rolling, three people cutting, and I was rolling, and I was able to keep up with three people cutting in here. We started at the back of the loft, and we just basically worked our way down and then did the basement as well. But the pace of it is always getting that perfect wet edge to a job. When people are alone, I have them cut and roll the wall all at once. It should only take you 10 or 15 minutes and something like that. So, oh, we got the family sneaking around in there. So, okay, guys, I'm going to get back to family time here, but thank you guys, and we'll talk to you later.